From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
Big news to start your afternoon, as while 4 stimulus checks heat up under the 4 stimulus package coming in July, we learned this Saturday afternoon that this coming week, guess what? The president will have another proposal for you, the 5th stimulus package. This Wednesday, the president of the United States will debut the 5th stimulus package. But does it make sense to debut a 5th stimulus package while we're still working on the 4th? And while we still haven't even gotten to the 4th to start reconciliation? I'll have all the analysis and what Wall Street's reacting to the announcement of yet another stimulus package while we haven't even begun the writing of the 4th one. Sound a little confusion? It should, but I'll make it easy for you. Meantime, why have so many business grants from the 3rd stimulus package that passed in January or early this year still not gone live? Why are we going from 3rd to 4th to 5th and we still haven't gotten things on the 3rd to go out? Meantime, a 6th wave of 3rd stimulus checks went out today. So why are we still going on to 5th when we haven't gotten 3rd to 4th to start? If you find this confusing, it may. I'll have all the details and break it down for you in this recording about your 4th stimulus check, your 3rd stimulus check, and your 5th stimulus package. This is Afternoons LALATE. Good afternoon, everybody. It's an Afternoons LA broadcast. So glad you are here. It's a Saturday afternoon, and this recording I'll be going over your $1,400 3rd stimulus check, your reoccurring monthly stimulus checks under the 4th stimulus package that start in July, the SSI reform in September under 5th stimulus. But I'm going to start with the surprising detail about the president debuting the 5th stimulus package this week when we haven't even really started the 4th stimulus really at all. What's going on? How are you? If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. If you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let me make something clear right off the bat. The 3rd stimulus package is law. The bills are written by legislators, not the president, and this 3rd stimulus package is law. But of the 3rd stimulus package, the mortgage money has not landed in any states. The rent has not landed anywhere. The business grants have not gone live, and virtually 80% of the 3rd stimulus package has yet to land anywhere. As to rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, and all that, it's landed in the month of May. Great news across the board. But it hasn't landed. Hasn't landed. 3rd stimulus checks have landed, and a 6th wave of stimulus checks are going out this week. But when we turn to 3rd stimulus business items, well, the $5,000 EIDL grant hasn't gone live. The shuttered venue grant was supposed to go live today. And guess what we're now talking about? 4th stimulus. Well, we're fine talking about 4th stimulus because that's about a few weeks away, July. But what's the president going to do this coming week? He's going to be talking about 5th stimulus. More about that in a second. Let's cut back to 4th stimulus. 4th stimulus doesn't have a bill. It hasn't been written, and it won't be written until it starts recon. It hasn't started recon. It takes 2 months to do a recon, and the vote for 4th stimulus would be July 4th. July 4th is an incredible date for you because 4th stimulus would pay that first month of stimulus checks in the month of July. You would get a July check for July, but they have to write the bill, and they need to start writing the bill now. It's a 2-month process, the reconciliation, and it starts 2 months ahead of time in the month of March. So, May. So why did today get the strange news that this coming week the president's going to be starting to talk about the American Family Plan? And what is the American Family Plan? It's the 5th stimulus, and it's September, and it's going to take 2 months to get that going, and that's not going to start to October. Does it sound like there's a lot too much talk and not enough walk? Yes. So let me slow it down for you. When we're talking about 5th stimulus, it's going to have to be written by the the Congress by Speaker Pelosi and her team and go by reconciliation. Why? Because it could have enormous tax hikes in it. Even the mere mention of the president saying he's going to do it by reconciliation, do it by bipartisanship, is going to get a laugh because no Republican is going to change massive overhauling of the tax code to pass the fifth stimulus package to provide $24,000 checks to 17-year-olds or younger. It's not going to happen. So fifth stimulus has to go by recon. It has to start by recon. If they start in September, it'll be done in October. But this is April. Why are we talking about, why are we having a debut next week of a proposal? And what is the proposal? All right, let me simplify this a little bit more. In 2020, when we used to talk about stuff, when we talk about stimulus package, we would talk about when we actually had the bill. We don't have the fourth stimulus package bill. Because why? Because it hasn't started recon. If it started recon on May 4th, then it would go through a two-step process. And that two-step process would take 2 months. First step would be to send the bill to the House floor and then off to the Senate to agree to do a reconciliation, then off to the president. Step 2 would be to send it back to the House and start to write the bill. Step 2 would be about June. And step 2 is when they would decide to put in the monthly stimulus checks. How much? How would that occur? So as we sit here right now, I'm even, getting you ready for June. I'm talking in now April about events of June. So why is the president next week going to talk about events of November? I don't know. Let me go over the events of June first. 4 stimulus have to go by a vote-a-rama. They have to go by recon. They have to do it. 4 stimulus would give people who make less than 75,000 stimulus checks, 4 stimulus checks every month until the end of the year at least. Household of 4 or less, and SSI and SSDI, you would get it. This is 4 stimulus. You understand it's 4 stimulus. You understand it would go out the door in July. You understand you would get paid in July. And you understand the first month of checks would be July. So when would they start the process and how much would you get? Well, the stimulus checks would be monthly. Both House members and senators agree that the checks would be monthly, and they agree different amount of months. The House members want checks from now to the end of the pandemic plus 1 year, and the senators want stimulus checks from now to December. The House members are progressives, the senators are moderate Democrats. The amount of the monthly checks are unknown. House members are $1,000 a month, and senators, the amount is unknown, but word on the street is it's going to look like this. Single biggest payout you ever had on the History of this channel. $2,000 a month or $12,000 over 6 months. $1,400 a month or $8,400 over 6 months. Okay, you understand this. We've been covering this enough. It's July. It's fourth recon. The stimulus checks would go out in July. They would start to pay for the month of July. It would be a big payout that they have to do this over a 2-month reconciliation process. And that 2-month reconciliation process puts us back to May. Good. So why are we talking about fifth stimulus? And why are we talking about fifth stimulus when we haven't even agreed upon fourth stimulus yet? The president this last week tried to do bipartisan support for fourth stimulus. It got slapped in his face. It got slapped in his face because the GOP had said to him, no climate, no $2 trillion, and we'll do $600, $800 billion. He said, no, come back with another counteroffer. They said, fine, we're going to reduce the amount of money. No $2 trillion, no climate, and instead of $600, $800 billion, we'll do $500 billion. So what is he going to talk about next week? He's going to talk about spending some more money in October and September under fifth stimulus that'll put his total price tag of spending this year at $6 trillion. To which the Republicans say, no, do another recon, I guess. Do you see some reoccurring theme here? The reoccurring theme is talking a lot about stuff, but never legislating. Remember, the fourth stimulus does not have an actual stimulus package yet. It has not been written. The president hasn't written it. He hasn't put out a deal memo. He hasn't detailed exactly which taxes are going to be taxed. He hasn't detailed exactly how he's going to pay for it. He hasn't detailed exactly which roads or bridges or which climate are going to be modified. He just says, generally, this is how we're going to do it. It's only until they start the reconciliation process that they go to the Senate floor and the House floor and put in the language in there and put in certainly the other language that they want to put in there that they get to those items. So what happened today? What happened today, minutes ago, in the middle of Saturday, is we learned that this coming Wednesday, the president, who has yet to put pen to paper for fourth stimulus, will be, quote, talking or detailing, which means talking, about the fifth stimulus package this fall. Well, when are we going to actually write the fifth stimulus package this fall? The year after? No, I'm being facetious. But the fifth stimulus package comes this fall, and that's the one that will have capital gains taxes apparently in it. Wait a second. Now, this is a surprise. Yep, bombshell. You're hearing it for the first time today in this recording. We had thought that the capital gains tax talk that we heard on Thursday was for the sixth stimulus package next year. Oh, no, it's for this fall. The capital gains tax that the president proposes to do is for the fifth stimulus this fall. OMG. Yep, sorry to surprise you. I was surprised when I saw that as well. I read it actually 3 times and I kept on staring at it. Let's recap. On Thursday, you heard the president was to raise capital gains taxes to levels no one has seen during modern times, third world country capital gains tax numbers. And we had thought that was for 6 stimulus next year because the capital gains taxes would take effect next year. The new report out today says no. When he addresses Congress next Wednesday, he's going to talk about raising the capital gains taxes in the 6th stimulus package in September. Oh, that's a little earlier than we anticipated. Why is he going to raise the capital gains taxes? To allow so that children under 17 have $24,000. Yes. Okay, so let me explain why this capital gains taxes for September now may be a lot more scarier than we thought it was on Thursday. On Thursday, we had heard that capital gains taxes were going to be raised from 20% to 50% or some enormous percentage that we have never heard in modern days. And then on Friday, JP Morgan said, not going to happen. It's just going to be a few percentage points. He's never going to get it done. Well, we had the reports out of Bloomberg on Thursday and the reports on Friday, we're talking about 2022, not this year. We weren't going to have to worry about this till next year. No, the new reports say he's going to smack you with the capital gains threat on Wednesday, this coming week, to put it into September's proposal, which he's going to talk, I guess, between now and September about it nonstop. Get ready for some capital gains taxes. And to make this reporting even more confusing, murky, is that he is now going to reportedly consider the capital gains tax for less people than he initially thought. Now, initially it said he's not going to touch taxes for people who make less than $1 million. Now it looks like he's going to make changes to people who make between $400,000 to $100,000. And then there's some reports they may even go capital gains taxes across the board for everyone. This comes as fourth stimulus. He has not yet detailed which taxes he's going to touch. Let's recap that one as well. Under capital gains, under fourth stimulus, he has talked about raising the corporate tax rate, but that's not enough to pay for fourth stimulus. He needs to touch other taxes to raise fourth stimulus. If this is starting to sound a little confusing, it is. It is. Because suddenly we hear a lot of taxes. We don't have a clear idea of what the tax bracket is. We don't have a clear rate as to what the number is. And all we hear is, we're going to be better. We're going to build things back better. And we're going to tax this, but I'm not going to tell the tax rate. We're going to tax this. I'm not going to tell you which group. We're going to tax that, and we're not going to tell you which group. And when the press secretary was asked this all last week, what she said is, he hasn't come up to a determination. Well, why bring it up if you haven't come to a determination? Let me circle back. Your fourth stimulus is going to happen. And I hope it happens sooner rather than later. Your fourth stimulus is going to happen with those monthly stimulus checks from those senators and those House members. I don't want this recording to make you nervous that fourth stimulus is not going to happen. The purpose of this recording is to talk to you about fifth stimulus and why that's not going to happen. The fourth stimulus is the biggest payout you're ever going to see for this channel. And fourth stimulus will send out stimulus checks in July. But this is even more reason to get this done now. Because if with this looming confusion of what's murking around in October and November of capital gains and more, you want this fourth stimulus out the door sooner than later. The fourth stimulus would pay $2,000 a month starting in the month of July and going through December. or $1,400 a month going from July through now to December. This is if you're on SSI and SSDI. This is if you make less than $75,000. This is if you are a household of 4 or less. You want this forced stimulus to go out, and you wanted to start recon, and you certainly wanted to go to a pen and paper. But what's happening next week may confuse people when hearing about forced stimulus, because suddenly you're hearing another stimulus package, which is fifth stimulus, when we haven't even really started forced stimulus. In the history of this channel, now turning 1 year old tomorrow, I have never had a time in which I'm discussing one stimulus package being worked on, and we're discussing another stimulus package thereafter being worked on, when the first one hasn't even really gotten out of the gates in form. Remember, forced stimulus has to start by recon. That starting a recon has not started. It's a 2-month process. The vote would be July, and yet the president's starting to talk about fifth stimulus this fall, this coming Wednesday. More about that coming up after the commercial break. Also coming up after the commercial break, what's happening with SSI reform and those other business grants. Stay with me. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues after this show with Evenings LALATE. How are you? Evenings LALATE is back in 2 hours from now at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be big updates across the board, especially a very comprehensive recording about that SSI reform under fifth stimulus. And then 2 hours after that is LA Late Night. Thank you for joining me on Afternoons LALATE. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And I may be in the live chat. Say hi. Forced stimulus is heating up, and forced stimulus would pay you a monthly stimulus check starting in the month of July for at least the end of the year. That could be anywhere from $1,400 to $2,000 approximately, and the single biggest payout that'll ever happen. That stimulus check would start in the month of July, would pay to you, and may likely come by debit card, refunded every month. That's forced stimulus. Meantime, breaking news this weekend is that third stimulus checks, 6th wave, are still going out. Also still at issue is third stimulus money for mortgage, rent, utilities, food has not gone live. Expect to go live in May. Takes a little while, isn't it? And then that business grant, the $5,000 EIDL grant from third stimulus, has not even gone live. The Shutter Venue grant was supposed to go live today, has not even gone live. And the PPP grant just got extended by the president. So while we understand we got our third stimulus checks generally, we are ready for fourth stimulus, why are we hearing about fifth stimulus next week? And do we really need to hear about spending more money on children when the children haven't even gotten the $3,600 that's coming in the month of July? Yeah. Remember, children are getting $300 a month starting the month of July, approximately, if you're 17 to newborn. And that's incredible great relief for 1 year. But so why are we talking about another provision to give them 5 more years of that? It's just a little bit too quickly, too fast, and too soon. And ultimately, Wall Street is not ready for it. The reports out today suggest that Wall Street is shocked, a little bit ambushed and a little bit scared that they don't know which taxes are getting changed, when they're getting changed, and which stimulus package they're getting changed at. And you see my frustration is I'm having difficulty getting a clear message from the White House as well. It's becoming very 2020-ish where we sort of don't get clear answers. For fourth stimulus, we've only officially heard the word corporate tax is getting changed. But insiders has always said that fourth stimulus could have inheritance taxes change and other taxes change. For fifth stimulus, we have not heard clarity about which other taxes could get changed until today. Now we're hearing that capital gains taxes could get changed under fifth stimulus, not under sixth stimulus, and that the income tax for individuals could get changed into fifth stimulus, not in sixth stimulus. Oh boy, what's going on here? Well, on the individual tax rate, it's looking like he wants to drop the individual tax rate for people who make $400,000 or more. And then for capital gains, it looks like he wants to change the capital gains rate from 20% to nearly 50%, both of which is scaring Wall Street extensively. On Thursday, the stock market crashed on the news, then remained flat on Friday. On Friday, the press secretary was asked, what is with Wall Street and its reaction to this capital gains? She said, I don't respond to questions about Wall Street. But now there is reports that the president did actually have pen to paper as of the time of that press briefing about capital gains coming under fifth stimulus. And now there's indication that that fifth stimulus capital gains tax increase will be debuted this coming Wednesday. What else is in fifth stimulus? Well, the good news is fifth stimulus has SSI reform, and that SSI reform is the single biggest payout that SSI recipients would have received in nearly almost 3 generations. That SSI reform is not being put in there by the president, of course. It's being put in there by other Democrats. And that SSI reform would involve removing the marriage penalty, removing the income exclusion, and then increasing your benefits and increasing the asset limits and increasing the inflationary benchmark. Let me explain how this works, and let me explain who's behind it. One, it's not from the president. It's from Democrats who are putting it in there. The ideas are incredible. First, your benefits would lifetime be increased to a new number. So you would take your current number and be brought up to a brand new number. That would be your new number going forward. No more of the former number. Then every December, your benefits would be reassessed based upon a new benchmark. That new benchmark would not be COLA. The new benchmark would be inflation. And since inflation is always 1 to 4% per year, you would see your benefits increase about 2 to 3% over the next few years, which is what inflation is expected to be. Then the asset limit would be removed. Currently, you're only able to keep sometimes on hand about $3,000 based upon 1984 laws. They would remove that and allow you to keep more assets on hand. This is SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits that I'm referring to. Then the income exclusion would be gone. That dates back to the 1960s. And it doesn't allow you to work and stay on benefits. Well, they would remove that and say you could work and make a decent sum of money, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month, and keep that income and still stay on benefits. And finally, would remove the marriage penalty. Incredible great news. How, where, and when would this happen? This would be in fifth stimulus. And again, this would be a recon add-on. Remember, fifth stimulus is not going to get any Republican support. It's going to get scoffed at, trying to raise taxes, trying to spend $6 trillion in 9 months. It's going to go by recon. And the Democrats, with that notion, want to put this in there. By putting that in there, then what they're going to do by recon is get that SSI reform. It takes 2 months to do that SSI reform. So if they start in September, you would see the benefits in your pocketbook by about the last 2 months of this year. And then your benefits would increase next year as well. Incredible great news. But with that comes the confusion of, is the president biting too strongly? Is the president biting too strongly? And is this part of what Bernie Sanders was trying to do last week as well? Wall Street at the moment says yes. Wall Street at the moment says the president is biting too strongly. And the president is not really taking good ownership of it either. When we're looking at fourth stimulus and we're looking at the stimulus provisions, one, we don't have them. We don't have the roads, bridge, climate, or infrastructure. We don't have the actual language. It's going to be written by Speaker Pelosi, but we don't even have the proposals from the president. Number two, when we're looking at the pay-fors, what taxes are going to be changed, we don't have clarity about that as well. Ultimately, the people who have been fighting for you for fourth stimulus have been the Ron Wydens, the Elizabeth Warrens, the Chuck Schumers, who are putting the multiple stimulus checks in there. And when we're talking about fifth stimulus in the fall, the people who are fighting for you for this SSI reform are the Pete DeFazios, the Warrens, the Wydens, who are going to put it in there. What is the president doing with fifth stimulus? $24,000 for children 17 to newborn over 17 years. Now, you may say, wait a second, $24,000? They're getting $3,600 this year. Why do they need more money? Ultimately, the president is potentially trying to get ahead of the eight ball on this and say this and this and this and try to debut a lot of stuff. But ultimately, this may backfire. In 2020, we saw a lot of what happened with Democrats with the HEROES Act, which was wonderful. There was a lot of wonderful promises in the HEROES Act, but a lot of things that was promised in the HEROES Act was promised and then ran from. Remember hazard pay? The Democrats in 2020 wanted to pay you hazard pay as a frontline worker. If you worked during the pandemic, $13 an hour, said you should get it $13 an hour up to $10,000 if you worked as a frontline worker. They put in the hazard, they put in the HEROES Act. It was hundreds of pages of the HEROES Act. And then they never spoke about it again. And we fought for it, and they never spoke about it again. And what about FPUC retro? They had said they were going to put FPUC retro in throughout the summer and then the fall, and then they didn't. And how about the Palm creators, the Palm solvers? They said there were going to be multiple stimulus checks. They said one in the fall and the one in the spring. How about the Cash Act? How about the Cash Act that was supposed to pay you $2,000 and then another $1,400? Or what about the adult dependents fix it? The adult dependents never got that stimulus check from the first and second. The Cash Act was to give them $3,200. They're supposed to fix that as well. A lot of promises. So for now, my message to you is very simple on Afternoons LA. Let's stay on message. Fourth stimulus, focus on fourth stimulus. SSI reform for fifth stimulus, stay on message. But if we start to hear a lot more of fifth stimulus and sixth stimulus and seventh stimulus from the president, I'm going to have to push back on that coverage because I don't want to get you confused, because it's starting to sound like a lot of talk like 2020 where things were promised and they didn't come in. Let's circle back. Fourth stimulus is going to happen. Those monthly stimulus checks is going to happen. SSI reform is going to happen. Those things are very obvious and clear. Wealth tax from Elizabeth Warren, maybe not. Bernie Sanders raising the capital gains tax, maybe not. Maybe Ron Wyden, $6,000 a PUA. Maybe that won't happen. I think it will. I think it's going to be able to slide it into the fourth stimulus. But all this other stuff that's coming around on the edges from the president, it's starting to sound like a lot of publicity and not a lot of potential. Here's what you need to know. A fourth stimulus is going to happen. And that while the president wants to talk about this coming week, a American family plan, as we're dealing with the American jobs plan, the important thing you need to know is that the American jobs plan is going to deliver this. $2,000 a month between now and December, or $1,400 a month between now and December. When it comes to stimulus checks remain point and center. It remains a big topic and a big discussion. Ultimately, those House members want to pay you $1,000 a month. Those senators want to pay you an amount unknown. And ultimately, it's always up for negotiations, but at least 6 months of checks and at least some sums like this is what needs to come. While the president may next week talk about a lot of other things, we recall everything else that hasn't been talked about. We never saw the FPUC retro push follow through with the Democrats. We never saw the hazard pay push through, or the minimum wage, which seemed like It seemed like minimum wage was starting gate at the Kentucky Derby just a few weeks ago, and now there's literally no talk about minimum wage. But finally, we have on our to-do list MSC happening under fourth stimulus and SSI reform under fifth stimulus. Finally, at least two of the major payouts that would financially put our viewership in the way that the place that they need to be are happening. And with that, keep on pushing, Purple Power. I want you to keep on pushing, because every time that you hear people trying to take capital gains to 50% from 20%, or trying to talk about another stimulus package when we haven't even started a recon of the one before, it can make a lot of people skittish, and you want them to stay on message. Tag this video, tag the other videos, take them and share them on Facebook, share them on Twitter. Say MSC, hashtag multiple stimulus checks. Let's do SSI reform in the fall. Tag your elected officials, whether it's Pete DeFazio or Chuck Schumer or Elizabeth Warren, and say, let's do this. And with that, thank you for joining me on a Big Afternoons LALATE broadcast. I'm back with you in 2 hours from now with a very, very detailed line item by line item broadcast that goes over what's happening next week and what's happening in that SSI reform and your fourth stimulus. Coming up next is LALATE evenings in 2 hours from now, and then it's late night at 10 p.m. And with that, thank you for joining me. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We're approaching our 1 year anniversary tomorrow, and I want you to be part of this family. Also like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and stay here with LA for more.